What's up guys, I'm over here and welcome back to another F1 22 gameplay video. This is my final video from this current preview build of the game, and we are finally delving into the world of virtual reality. VR support is here with F1 22 for the very first time in an official Formula 1 game, and what an experience it is. Now, I'm sure you've seen other creators already maybe upload some VR videos, but we finally got to it as my final video here today because I thought, there are more important things to kind of look at in the game and talk about in the previous videos I've made. But of course, you guys know, if you've watched me for a while, that I've actually been an early, adopter of using VR in racing. I delved into VR racing many years ago. I think it was like 2019 where I did a bunch of Assetto Corsa videos with VR and that, and we also recently did actually a VR kind of experience around this circuit, Miami, in Assetto Corsa. But this is now the official Codemasters and EA version of that, effectively, as we're going around the Miami GP circuit in F1 22, and this is in VR. Now, I need to preface that whenever you see my or any creator's VR videos, or any VR videos basically uploaded where it's been recorded, it's always going to be slightly different to what you'll actually see if you try it for yourself, which is kind of the frustrating thing with VR videos and kind of showing it to you guys, is you'll never be able to truly get what I'm talking about, of how insane this is. Looking around right to left, looking at the mirrors, poking your head effectively forwards and outwards, and looking at the circuit, looking down into the cockpit, and your brain makes up the difference. And after like a lap or two, you truly believe the virtual hand in front of you is your own hand holding a steering wheel, if you're going to hopefully play this with a steering wheel, which makes the most sense, obviously, with a VR experience. And it's just bonkers. Like, this kind of does an okay job. This kind of somewhat looks like, the helmet cam we have in real-life Formula 1, that debuted this season. Those awesome action shots with Leclerc, Norris, other drivers that have it installed onto their helmets for this season. This is kind of almost like that kind of version of it in the game. And that's what I'm stressing, and I have stressed in the past, that when you actually do it for yourself, it is even crazier than this video makes it out to be. But even the video does it a lot of justice in terms of just feeling like you're actually in the cockpit, you're moving about, shaking about with the car and reacting to what you're seeing ahead of you. And as well as doing it in the dry, in the wet as well is also something else, because I didn't know what it was going to be like in the wet. Because we know what the wet obviously looks like normally, and you have that kind of, beads of rain dropping down your screen. I didn't know that was going to be a thing on the virtual reality version of it, but it is. And it kind of, now that you're in the cockpit, in the eyes of the driver, instead of the beads of rain coming down the screen like it's on the camera for the T-cam position, it kind of just looks like the rain is on your visor. So if you kind of picture that's where the visor is in front of your eyes, it's almost like it's on the visor catching. And it's a real challenge. I mean, driving in VR anyway is a challenge, because not only you're in cockpit, you're like even deeper in, and your sense of 3D depth perception is very different. Takes a while to get used to, especially if you're used to driving with the T-cam position. And so getting up to speed was challenging, and in the rain, such a shaky experience. Like, legitimately a bit worried of, okay, where the hell is the brake zone? Where's the turn in? And that shake is even kind of more apparent in the rain, because you're just kind of a bit more on your tiptoes, and the car's so much more lively, and any moment you could snap it. Coupled with the fact that on F1 22 the rear end is such a nightmare now. The traction is so delicate. You have to be very, very light with your right foot, and so added that onto the rain and in VR. Yeah, a big challenge, but one that you're going to be doing whilst you have a smile on your face. And also at the same time, as we get now into the start of a formation lap for a race at Silverstone, what you also get is just that next level of immersion. We have F1 Life, of course, coming to F1 22, living the life of a driver with supercars and all this glitz and glamour. But the VR is also kind of adding into that of living the life of an F1 driver, because there's, hardly any of a heads-up display. You can see there on the bottom right, just on the side of the chassis, that's my heads-up display, and then that's it. There's no indicator for position, lap. The engineer is going to be a massive factor for you in VR. Like, you're going to have to constantly asking questions, maybe, if you want more information, because the only info you have at your fingertips is the actual tiny heads-up display on the right-hand side, and it's pretty much just you and the car, basically, like it is in real life, of course. And I think a really good way to put it was kind of, you know, you're experiencing the F1 game in its rawest format. Like, it feels so, you know, you're just alone. You're alone, it's you in the cockpit, and that's it. And it's crazy. And then here is the formation lap starting grid sequence in virtual reality then. Even harder to kind of judge, but we did it just about right. I think, you know, using the color indicator to help us a bit, but it was kind of like a challenge of, okay, where on earth am I? And, you know, you kind of appreciate how hard it is in real life for the drivers to spot where they're parking up, basically, but they managed to do it every time. And here we go then to 5 red lights, and race starts even more intense now in this kind of way. We get so close to the Red Bull on the left-hand side into turn 1, looking to try and make a move as we enter Village, sizing up the move on the Red Bull, getting so bloody close though to him on the left-hand side there, pretty much robbing sidewalls as I was unable to really fully understand how close he was, and that's one thing still getting used to. I think if I try virtual reality down the line, and, you know, I don't know if there's going to be a future preview build or just when the full game comes out, but I think I want to sink some time in just to kind of get up to speed, because I definitely was so much slower in this kind of way versus, you know, normally how I play in the T-cam position. Obviously to be expected, really, but it's just because you have all this sensory overload of, you know, everything coming at you and feeling so real whilst you're sat there. And we're closing up now to the Mercedes. Now, one thing I will say in the preview build here, obviously very much work in progress, so I think it was a kind of, you know, half of the build and then half my own PC maybe whilst I was recording, not being able to keep up with it a little bit because there were a few little teething issues here and there. You're about to see I spin out here, and that's because the game starts lagging, and I actually started to disconnect a little bit from the actual virtual reality connection that was going into my MetaQuest 2. So that was a little bit of a teething issue, but I think to be expected, and maybe potentially also just maybe me not being able to record it in the best way possible. But for the most part, it was very smooth, was really nice. And this was a funny thing. Obviously, in virtual reality, you can stand up, and so I was able to view Mr. Benjamin Daly, Timmet Marduk, in virtual reality here, being my engineer or official umbrella holder it was for this race. But yeah, a very cool thing you can do, obviously, is walk around the reality, well, yeah, somewhat, obviously, in the kind of circle space you have. We're now jumping into a short race here at Austria, so yeah, apologies that it's kind of, you know, all over the place in terms of the gameplay clips, but like I said, I was having a few little teething issues with recording and trying to get the best settings, and so sometimes my kind of MetaQuest 2 would kind of overload a little bit in terms of the CPU and the GPU usage a little bit, so having to do some sporadic clips here. But this one's going to be good because I actually do a pit stop in this race as well, and I get spun out and crash, and I crashed into it. I must say, having a crash in this view is outstanding. Like, you literally actually jolt back a little bit with your head and kind of, you know, get a bit frazzled. You know, I've said I'm a little bit flustered sometimes in, you know, my team career mode. Normally when we have incidents or, you know, you get overtaken or whatever, you get flustered so much more when you're in the cockpit for sure, like in the virtual world. But now here we are then going for a pit stop. Now trying to time this as best I can, but we missed it. It's a late pit stop, but look how intense this looks. Like, you know, the car shakes a bit, you're kind of moving about quite quickly, you got your mechanics all around you doing the pit stop, the front wing change there as well for myself with the crash, and then you go. But a really cool immersive look into the pit stop with that one. So yeah, that was actually probably the best part, actually. You know, the formation lap was cool, but I think the pit stop was even better, especially like when the car goes in and pulls in and kind of goes a little bit quicker into the pit box. Yeah, that was really, really sweet. And then we got to experience a little bit of wheel-to-wheel racing. I was kind of like waiting up for the Aston Martin just to kind of see what it would be like to go wheel-to-wheel. We can see him on the mirror, and I'm actually looking over now physically with my head right to see the mirror, seeing him now with my peripheral vision and the eyes on the right-hand side, going for the switchback, and it works out really well. Then moving my head left to see where he is, and it's just sick because you can see them right up close. I will say though, I don't know if it's just me or if other people are finding this in virtual reality, but I was finding it hard though to make a connection to the force feedback. Like, I was seeing the car really close to get to me, and if he banged on my tire, you know, I could see that happening, but it was actually hot. I don't know if it was just because there was so much going on in my own head with the visuals, that my brain wasn't kind of, you know, computing the feeling I was getting with my hand, for example, on the steering wheel, the force feedback. So there was a little bit of a disconnect there, but I think that was more just me kind of getting overloaded a little bit with the senses of the visual nature, not kind of feeling the feeling of the car through my steering wheel. But yeah, so to wrap up in terms of my impressions of virtual reality on F1 22 in comparison to other experiences I've had on games like the Assetto Corsa, for example, really just as well done as that experience is in terms of when you sat there looking around. The quality of the actual experience is literally the same as I've had in previous you know, other racing games. So it's really sick to finally have the official F1 game have that option. In terms of how it was for me to play the game as an experience, will I be doing it regularly? Probably not. I mean, it's a very cool experience, don't get me wrong, but I don't see myself maybe being able to enjoy it long term, like loads of races. But, you know, maybe the odd race or here, you know, 1 or 2 in the week, you know, definitely could be something. I think in terms of, you know, content, let me guys know what you make it in the comments below. I'm curious, do you guys actually enjoy watching an F1 game video from this kind of perspective? Like, is it enjoyable to actually experience? Because I've always been skeptical about the viewing experience for YouTube videos. I don't know, because I've toyed with the idea, you know, of doing like a, you know, we do My Team Career Mode, which is my own car, but maybe when this game comes out, you know, maybe after the first initial month of hype and, you know, the grind with My Team Career Mode, maybe we delve into the Driver Career Mode as a secondary series and do it all exclusively in VR. I don't know, let me know your guys' thoughts on that, because it could be a kind of cool little mini-series basically to do the Driver Career Mode in one of the official F1 teams in virtual reality as a kind of, you know, side thing to My Team, because I don't think I'd ever do this with the My Team Career Mode. I much prefer having the T-Cam and the TV style, you know, experience for you guys as a viewer. But when it comes to just kind of, you know, one-off videos or just other content, I think there's a lot of scope for virtual reality. Virtual reality would survive the Survive mod, the Extreme Damage mod with virtual reality. That's something I have to try, and it'll be absolutely insane. So yeah, I don't know, let me know your guys' ideas maybe of what you'd want to see me do with, you know, versions of my already, you know, established series maybe in virtual reality. And if you have enjoyed this first look from my perspective of virtual reality in F1 22, then be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And like I said, guys, this has been the final video I can upload from this current version of the preview build of F1 22. I don't know whether creators and journalists are going to get another preview build before the launch. I mean, we are only just over a month out from it, so if I had to guess, I would say probably not. So maybe the next time I get to play the game will be at launch, perhaps. We'll have to see. But till then, whatever the case, you guys know, as soon as there is more gameplay to come, either to analyze and commentate over or to play with myself, then I'll be straight on it as early as I can. But anyway, that's been this video. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.